What's up, Everione?
Before we dive into today's bombshell story, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if you're new here, smash that subscribe button because what I'm about to reveal was never meant to see the light of day. The mainstream media won't touch this with a 10-foot pole, but I'm bringing you the raw truth. Alright, let's get into it. When former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi stepped up to that microphone, nobody in that press room had any idea what was about to hit them. The reporters were half asleep, expecting another boring political statement.
Boy, were they wrong.
Bondi stood there, calm and collected, but with fire in her eyes.
In her hand?
A stack of documents that would send shockwaves through the entire judicial system. She waited for the room to quiet down, and then dropped the first bomb. This isn't about party lines or policy. This is about process and the integrity of our legal system. The reporters suddenly perked up. This wasn't going to be your typical press conference. Today I am raising a public concern about a pattern of judicial behavior that cannot go unchecked, she declared, her voice steady but intense. And then she named him, Judge James Booberg. A federal judge who had been handling some of the most sensitive immigration and surveillance cases in the country. The room went dead silent. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had ever publicly questioned this man's decisions before.
He was untouchable. Until now.
Bondi didn't hold back. She methodically listed case after case where procedural steps were mysteriously skipped. Hearings cancelled without explanation. Files sealed for no valid reason. She made it clear, she wasn't alleging criminal activity yet, but the pattern was too consistent to ignore.
Behind the Kameras, you could hear a pin drop. The press corps was stunned.
Questioning a sitting federal judge's conduct in public?
This was unprecedented.
But Bondi wasn't there for drama. She was there for facts. She handed out documents to the press, case summaries, timelines of DACA rulings, all carefully anonymized to protect privacy but damning in their consistency. When a reporter asked if she was accusing Booberg of deliberately interfering with deportations, Bondi looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm saying these aren't isolated oversights. They form a pattern that may suggest deliberate obstruction." Another journalist asked why she was going public now.
Her response?
Because internal processes have stalled. Translation: the system designed to police itself was failing. Within hours, the press conference was everywhere. Legal analysts were debating the implications on every network. Booberg's office issued a vague statement welcoming review, but anyone who read between the lines could see they were scrambling. But this was just the opening move in Bondi's chess game. 2 days later, Bondi sat in a private law office reviewing a thick folder of evidence. Across the table was a retired immigration officer who had come forward with a bombshell. He described a deportation case that had been blocked by one of Booberg's last-minute orders.
The problem?
The filing that triggered the order had no public record. It felt prearranged, orchestrated behind closed doors. Bondi's team had done their homework. They compiled a spreadsheet showing that in immigration cases, Booberg ruled in favor of delays a staggering 94% of the time. Files would mysteriously disappear from the court system, then reappear with changes. If you've ever dealt with government systems, you know that's not a glitch. That's deliberate manipulation. That night, Bondi was reviewing an email chain between Booberg's office and an immigration advocacy group. What caught her attention was an attorney referencing a motion they planned to file. Yet Booberg had signed the order the day before. This wasn't just irregular, it was unethical, possibly criminal. She needed one more piece of evidence: confirmation that an emergency medical condition that had halted a deportation was completely fabricated. A contact at the DOJ later confirmed the clinic named in the filing didn't even exist. Bondi now had proof of deliberate misconduct. 3 days later, a former clerk from Booberg's chambers met Bondi at a nondescript diner. His revelation was explosive. Draft rulings were pre-written using templates, often before cases were even filed. He handed her a flash drive containing internal logs showing orders being edited before the corresponding motions even appeared in the system. Some rulings were copied word for word from past cases, with only the names changed. Bondi didn't waste time. She sent her findings to the Judicial Review Board, requesting an emergency session. The board agreed, and Booberg, now under pressure, requested legal representation. The review board's hearing was closed to the public, but Bondi received a tip that Booberg didn't deny the pre-written orders. Instead, he defended them as efficiency. When pressed about the advocacy group email, he called it a poor choice of words. The board determined that serious questions remained and advanced the inquiry to a formal review. Bondi then went on television for an interview, stating unequivocally that the pattern undermined judicial impartiality. The public response was immediate and overwhelming. with calls for accountability flooding in from all sides. Then another former clerk came forward, describing a culture of pressure in Booberg's chambers to rush rulings and seal decisions from public view. The dam was breaking. Bondi received a grant report showing a non-profit linked to Booberg's wife had listed his court as part of their strategic engagement network. Cross-referencing cases, she found that 13 out of 16 rulings had favored the non-profit's clients. She posted a simple question online: should judges disclose family ties to groups benefiting from their rulings? The answer was obvious. A senior reporter hinted that the administration wanted a quiet resignation to avoid scandal. But Bondi refused to let it end there. Her team uncovered emails showing the nonprofit's legal team referring to friendly circuits in Booberg's court, a smoking gun if there ever was one. She published an op-ed laying out the evidence and asking a pointed question: what happens when a judge's rulings consistently benefit groups tied to his household? The Senate Judiciary Committee announced a review, escalating the pressure. Booberg didn't appear in court for days as rumors swirled about his future. The Judicial Review Board scheduled a final hearing where he would testify under oath. Bondi was invited as a witness. The hearing was tense. Booberg claimed his preemptive rulings were for efficiency, and that seals were to protect vulnerable individuals. When asked about his wife's nonprofit ties, he called them honorary and unrelated to rulings. Bondi testified that the evidence showed intentional disregard for transparency. 2 days later, the board released its findings. Booberg's actions were a serious breach of ethics warranting censure and disbarment proceedings. He resigned the next morning with no fanfare.
Bondi fällt no Triumph, only resolve.
A handwritten note from a woman whose husband had been unjustly deported thanked her for speaking up. For Bondi, this was the point: holding power accountable for those who didn't know how it was being misused against them. The case had started with a quiet press conference and ended with a judge's resignation. Bondi's meticulous evidence, timelines, emails, testimony, had exposed systematic manipulation of the legal system. The public saw how rulings were pre-written, cases were sealed, and favors were quietly exchanged. Judicial independence, she argued, couldn't mean unchecked power. Her work ensured that light was shown where it was needed most. Booberg's downfall wasn't just about one corrupt judge. It revealed how easily systems meant to protect fairness could be twisted to serve hidden agendas. Bondi's persistence forced institutions to act when they would have preferred to look away. The story resonated because it wasn't partisan, it was about truth. People saw how justice could be undermined silently, and why vigilance mattered. In the weeks that followed, calls grew for judicial transparency reforms. Bondi's op-ed became a reference point in legal circles, and lawmakers debated stricter disclosure rules. The nonprofit linked to Booberg's wife faced intense scrutiny, with donors quickly distancing themselves. Legal analysts noted that the case would likely deter similar misconduct, knowing that this kind of scrutiny could come at any time. Bondi returned to her work, but the case stayed with her. The note from the Nebraska woman reminded her why she'd fought so hard. Behind every sealed file were real lives affected by hidden decisions. Her mission had been to give those decisions a voice, and she'd succeeded. The legal world would remember Booberg's case as a turning point. Judges now knew their rulings could face unprecedented scrutiny. For the public, it was a powerful lesson. No one, no matter how powerful, is above accountability. Bondi's quiet determination had proven that. The story also highlighted the importance of whistleblowers, the clerks and staffers who came forward at great personal risk to expose wrongdoing. Their courage, paired with Bondi's platform, created an unstoppable force for truth. In the end, the system worked, but only because someone demanded it. Bondi's fight wasn't just about Booberg, it was about restoring faith in justice. And as she filed the final notes away, she knew that the next time power was abused, others would have the blueprint to challenge it. Let's be real. How many other Judge Boobergs are out there right now, making decisions behind closed doors that affect people's lives? How many cases are being predetermined before they even hit the courtroom? That's why this story matters. If this investigation taught us anything, it's that sunlight truly is the best disinfectant. When Bondi shined that light into the darkest corners of our judicial system, the corruption couldn't survive. Look, I'm not saying every judge is corrupt. The vast majority serve with honor and integrity. But when the bad ones hide behind robes and gavels, they need to be exposed. That's what happened here. Think about it. If Bondi hadn't stood up, how many more lives would have been affected? How many more deportations would have been manipulated? How many more cases would have been predetermined? The most shocking part of this whole story isn't even what Booberg did, it's how long he got away with it. Years of sealed files, skipped steps, and backroom deals, all while maintaining the appearance of impartiality. It makes you wonder what else is happening right under our noses. And let's not forget, it wasn't the system that caught him. It was individuals with courage. The clerks who risked their careers. The immigration officer who kept detailed notes. And Bondi, who refused to back down even when powerful people wanted this to go away quietly.
Tatze real Lesson hier.
Systems don't fix themselves.
People fix systems. So here is my challenge to you. Where in your life do you see power operating without accountability?
Is it at your workplace?
Your local government?
Your children's school? What are you going to do about it? Because if Pam Bondi taught us anything, it's that one person with evidence and determination can bring down even the most protected corruption. You don't need a badge or a title, you just need courage and facts. If you found this story as powerful as I did, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We need more Pam Bondis in this world. And don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, there are more stories like this that need to be told, and I'm just getting started. Until next time, remember, question everything, especially the things you're told not to question.